I am His Imperial Majesty George II, Emperor and first among equals of the Empire of Atlantium.
When he's not managing a fire safety company, George Cruikshank rules the smallest country in Australia.
It occupies a 0.76 square metre territory in southwestern New South Wales, but conceptually it's actually a global non-territorial state with about 3,000 citizens in about 120 countries around the world.
That's roughly 4 times the population of the Vatican. Well, not quite St Peter's Basilica. Atlantium's government house is at least grand in name.
We have appropriated the name of the Palace of Nero, the Golden House, the Domus Aurea. The building is painted yellow. So it's literally the Golden House.
Australia's most famous micronation was the Hutt River Province. Created more than 50 years ago by farmer Leonard Casley, who had a beef about wheat quotas, he declared war on Australia.
We've got to do something about Malcolm Fraser. He's waging a state of cold war on us. Let's make it a real war.
Prince Leonard died 3 years ago and the property was sold to pay his tax bill.
When it comes to micronations, there's a spectrum. There are some that do it for good humour and some that could use a bit more humour.
Constitutional lawyer Dr. Harry Hobbs has co-authored a book called How to Rule Your Own Country.
So a micronation is a self-declared nation that performs and mimics acts of sovereignty and statehood, but has no legal recognition for its existence. So it pretends to be a state, it looks a bit like a state, but it isn't a state.
Which brings us to the Principality of Wye, once part of Sydney's Mosman Council. A dispute over a driveway led Prince Paul to secede in 2004.
The mayor of the day, God bless her, she thought that we'd been hard done by, and she would accept my unilateral declaration of independence.
Things did get ugly for a while with a tussle in the Land and Environment Court, but Paul still pays his rates, so a ceasefire has been declared with the council.
What a charming dog.
Obviously a Republican. You see, the Principality of Wye is couched in humour. That's the key, humour. I mean, there are all sorts of squabbles in the world at the moment that could be solved with a few good jokes, hopefully, but there you are.
It was a squabble of nuclear proportions that led George and 2 of his cousins to create Atlantium in 1981.
The ever-present threat of mutually assured nuclear destruction was something that hung over our heads. And so the idea that, oh, hang on, why don't we just start our own country and we're going to make it an example to the world of how, the world can be a better place than it is today.
Atlantium is a nuclear-free zone. There is also no running water, but the Empire has recently been blessed with solar electricity. For a long time, George had other priorities, like his own currency and stamps.
People can purchase stamps and postcards and write to their loved ones, and then the Emperor will personally carry that mail from Atlantium all the way back to Marrickville, where it enters the Australian postal system.
Atlantium is not short on pomp and ceremony, with its own imperial honours.
The large golden star is called the Grand Imperial Star. It's grand and imperial, and only the Emperor gets to wear that one. This one here is the OMG, which was actually invented long before social media came along. It's the Ordo Magnus Georgianus, which is the Great Georgian Order. I get to wear this, and Israeli nuclear whistleblower Mordecai Vanunu is the only other person who's been awarded that.
Harry Hobbs estimates there are roughly 130 micronations worldwide, and about 40 of these are in Australia.
We say that Australia is a micronations mecca for 3 reasons. We have a culture that celebrates the underdog sticking up to authority. We're a large country that doesn't really have a big national security threat. So there's a lot of room to create your own country if you want to.
I say, what harm are they doing? What's the problem here? If it's something that allows them to allay their anxiety, their anguish, their fear, well, there are lots of religions too, aren't there?
For those of us interested in declaring independence, Harry has some sobering advice.
You still have to pay tax and you still have to follow the road rules. So as long as you know that's going to happen, but you still want to create your own micronation, there's lots of ways you can do it.
But the fact remains, not a single micronation in Australia has managed to secede from the Commonwealth.
It's very expensive, takes a lot of time and energy. You're probably going to do a bad job, and it's much easier if you just join one that already exists, like Atlantium.
After all, it only costs $25 US to become a citizen. And for that you get a gift pack and the right to stand to attention whenever they play the national anthem. borrowed from the French composer Camille Saint-Saëns.
We have people from hundreds of countries, and we didn't want to impose a particular set of words in a particular language on people, but we wanted it to be a grand sounding piece of music that everyone recognises. I have excellent taste.
I mean, obviously, you know, these are harmless kooks, you know, mostly. They're harmless kooks. But, you know, of the 130 that exist in the world, 40 are from Australia. Like, we are head and shoulders better than anyone else at this kind of stuff, you know?
They obviously believe in individuality and, you know, have a strong independent streak. But what shocks me is that given that, they all like dressing up in costume and having paintings of themselves.
Yeah, the paintings, like, so committed to the cause. I respect it. I kind of love that energy.
Yeah, well, go and declare one. Yes.
I think we almost need, like, an online generator to come up with your micronation or your ruler name. You know, your online generators to find your drag race name or your stripper name. We need a Micronations
Mine would be
generator.
the Kingdom, I feel. It would.
I was thinking Dame's Cookie Cutter or something cute. I don't know.
You have thought about this way too much.